Welcome to my first food prep of 2024. We're starting off with ripe bananas, and I was wanting to make some banana nut muffins. So I did a quick Google search, and I always try and find recipes that have a lot of reviews, and this one did, and it was really good reviews. And I had all of the ingredients. I will link it down below, but I love whenever there's lots of notes on the recipes whenever I print them out. Storage, how to make them into muffins, what else you can add to them, any feedback, and then also go into the reviews. And sometimes people will leave comments. So they said, some people said they used brown sugar, some people added a little bit of baking powder. I just stuck to the recipe, and I'm just taking my muffins, mashing them on a plate with a fork. I find this is the easiest way to do it, and it's a really easy cleanup. So there's my bananas ready to go. It called for 4 medium bananas, or 1 1/3 cups. And then it also called for 1 cup of coarsely chopped walnuts. I'm using pecans because that's what I had in my pantry. And that's one of my goals in 2024, is to kind of update my storage system. I do have a 4-part food organization series down below. I want to cut down on a lot of the stuff that I've been storing. I really want to keep things really simple whenever I'm cooking and I am baking. And I think this recipe is a perfect example of what I'm trying to do in the new year. I really want to just simplify my kitchen. And one of the things I want to do is just use the basics. I'm using a cutting board and a knife to chop up my pecans instead of getting out my little food processor and all of the different attachments and having to clean that. I can do the exact same thing with a cutting board and a knife. I have 1 cup of granulated sugar. I'm just using the same measuring cup that the pecans were in, so there's a little bit of debris from there. 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I had the vegetable oil and I'm going to use it. And over the years, I've tried to change things up in baking recipes. And it's definitely more of a science, and I'm just sticking to what the recipe says. Once again, I'm just keeping it really simple. I'm using this bowl I bought at Winners. I love it. Has a handle on it. I have a smaller one too. And then I'm just using my whisk to mix this all up. And then I'm going to switch to the wooden spoon and then just add my bananas in here and then mix this up. And then the recipe called for 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I just use the Great Value unbleached all-purpose flour. I've been very happy with it. A little bit of salt, and then 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. The recipe said some people added baking powder, some people use brown sugar instead of white. I'm just sticking to what the recipe calls for. And I'm not going to mix all of the flour in right now. I'm going to switch to my spatula, because that's one of the things I've always read about muffins, is not to overmix them. And whenever I mix things by hand, lots of times I'll end up having that little bit of flour at the bottom. It's not mixed in all that well. So I just thought by using the spatula, I'd mix in the flour and the nuts, and it would be worked in really well without over mixing it. But I like the spatula because I can kind of scrape the bottom and scoop it up. I just find it works really well for mixing. And it's another reason why I really like this bowl too, because it has a handle. Over the years, I've had so many different muffin tins. I've had mini muffins and 6 muffin tin counts. And I bought this one at Winners, and I've been very, very happy with it. It cleans up really nice. And we're a family of 3, so I find 12 muffins works really well for us because I will freeze some of them. I just spray it with cooking spray. I don't use muffin liners anymore. It's just one of those things I don't really feel is a necessity in our kitchen. But, I'll buy some stuff for Easter, Christmas, and Halloween just to, make it a little bit more festive. And I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring cup to even out my muffins. Now, the recipe did call for 18, but I like to stick to 12. And one of the things I've been wanting to do is make bigger, kind of bakery style muffins. So I had the oven preheated to 350 because that's what the recipe called for. But I remember many comments talked about a higher heat. So I actually bumped it up to 425. I'm going to put the muffins in for 10 minutes and then we'll check on them after that. While the muffins are in the oven, I have some green onions here. I like to use the tops for garnish. And I'm actually going to be using the bottom part. I'm making egg roll in a bowl for lunch. But one of the things I should be doing is trying to grow my own. I've seen this a lot, and especially because I like to use the tops of the green onions for garnish, it would work perfectly for me. So far in 2024, I haven't really done a big grocery shop. It's pretty much just been picking up produce and buying whatever else we need to replenish: eggs, milk, orange juice, yogurt, bread, laundry soap, all of those goodies. But I'm just trying to continue that throughout 2024, and I'll be sharing that. So it's been 10 minutes. I'm going to check the muffins. I am very happy with the way that they're filling out. So I'm going to put the oven down to 350 and then check them in another 10 minutes. And I'm going to be making egg roll in a bowl. I'm just loosely using this recipe. I'll link it down below. But when it comes to cooking, I usually make things my own. So I have some sesame oil, and I'm adding garlic and ginger. I just buy it in the jars in the produce section. I don't use it a lot, and I like the convenience of it. My pans are also from Costco. I just picked them up. There's 3 of them in the package. I think they were $50 or $75. I'm very happy with them. And these tongs that I have, I just bought them at Walmart. I think I have 4 or 5 of them. I use them all of the time. They're a great addition to my kitchen. And I'm just letting the sesame oil soak up the flavor of the ginger and the garlic and the green onion. And I'm adding ground pork. Over the years, we've used HelloFresh, and I really, really like it. And a lot of the recipes would call for ground pork. So when I was at Walmart one time, I picked a couple of packages up and had them in my freezer and decided to use it today for egg roll in a bowl. But you could use ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, the vegetarian ground that they have. Anything will do. And I'm just going to work this into the oils and all of the flavors just to try to get a little bit more. So while that's cooking down, I'm just going to work on a little bit of food prep to clean some things up out of the fridge and the pantry. I'm just trying to use my time a little bit wisely. So we're going to cook that down, and I just had some grapes and I just wanted to break them down a little bit more. I wash them and I keep them in my Rubbermaid Freshworks container, but I've always talked about, having stuff in easy, convenient containers. You open up the fridge, you're looking for something to snack on. You're more likely to grab something that's already measured and ready to go for you than something in the large container and breaking it down. So this is going to be used for that. It's also going to be used for lunches. I thought I had more grapes. I thought I was going to get more than 3 containers, but that's okay. It cleans out that big container and we're ready to go. Back to my ground pork. It's cooking down very nice. It's fragrant. You can smell the ginger and the garlic, which I'm happy about. I've made egg roll in a bowl before and I didn't love it. I'm putting a little bit of pepper, another little splash of sesame oil. I love sesame oil. I know some people don't really like it. They think it's too strong, but I find the more that I eat it, the less it feels like overpowering. I'm also putting a little bit of soy sauce. If you use coconut aminos, go ahead and add a little bit of that. You can even add Worcestershire sauce or whatever you like to use to season up your foods. And then I'm just going to take a package of coleslaw. I just added it to my grocery order. I knew that this was something I wanted to make. It's quick, it's easy, convenient. You can buy the cabbage and slice it up at yourself. I find this is actually cheaper and it's just a lot more convenient. So I'm just going to let this sit for a couple of minutes and then work it in with the pork mixture and the garlic and ginger and just try and get some flavor going here. And I have a couple of different ideas of what I want to do. I was craving ramen on the weekend and I tried something different and I absolutely loved it. So I'm actually gonna, whenever next time I make it, I'm gonna film it and share it so I'll be able to link it. But I'm actually adding some hoisin sauce. I'm pretty sure it's just like Asian barbecue sauce. It's something I always have in my refrigerator, so I put some of this in here just to kind of up the flavor. So I'm going to let it sit for a couple of more minutes just to kind of let that incorporate with the cabbage and meat. And now I'm moving on to some trail mix. My husband loves trail mix. We haven't gone to Costco this year yet. I'm not really sure how to use Costco this year because I am making some small changes, but it's going to end up being big changes with how I grocery shop. But this bag has been in our pantry for a while and I kind of want to use it up and, I don't want it to go stale. Once again, I thought I was going to have more than what I did. My husband likes to take this in his lunch, or he'll grab like a handful and then another handful. And I just thought it'd be easier to have it all portioned out. It's easy for packing lunch. It's easy for grabbing a snack. That's done. Now this honey sriracha, I just picked this up. I thought it looked really good. I put it in my ramen. I don't have any regular sriracha, and the recipe did call for a couple of tablespoons of sriracha, but I like the sweet and spiciness of this, and I'm just adding a little bit of this and gonna work it in. I'm liking the color of it. I'm liking the way that it smells, but I want to do a taste test just to see if it's needing anything else. Does it have a lot of flavor? Is that crunch still there from the cabbage? So best way to do is get a little bowl and just do a little bit of a taste test. And like I said, I'm loosely using a recipe, but when it comes to cooking, I like making it my own. This was delicious. It had the heat, it had the flavor, it had everything. I was really happy with it. So I'm just going to take it off the element. I'll let it cool down. I'm going to clean up some dishes and clean up and everything. And my muffins, I checked them after 20 minutes. I turned off the oven and I left them in for another 5 because they were really high. Look at how high they were. So thank you for that tip of starting off with a hot oven. And I'm very happy with the way that they are looking. Look at the height, 12 lovely muffins. So we're going to let those cool, get everything else kind of cleaned up, and then I'm going to start packaging everything up. 12 muffins just works really well for us, and I'm using my Pyrex containers, and my husband actually prefers these. We don't have a microwave anymore, but he uses a microwave at work, and he likes the glass dishes, and I want to replace them. I want to find some different ones, but there's certain lids that I don't like, so I'm going to be on a search for them. I'll update you. But my husband's going to take 2, and then they're already going to be portioned out for him, and then a big one's going to be mine for a couple of lunches. I also had these crispy onions in my pantry. We used them in the ramen. They're really good. And I want to like dress up my husband's lunch. I want to make it really nice looking, and there was a little bit of onions left over, so I just went ahead and put it on mine just to clean out that package. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put some of the green onions and a little bit of sesame seeds because this looks really bland, but it just has a really nice presentation. Something as simple as the green onions and a little bit of sesame seeds. I honestly should get a little shaker for my sesame seeds instead of these bags. It would probably make it a little bit easier, but I just think it looks really nice. The presentation is there. Here are the muffins that I've been wanting to make, and while they were baking, I did some food prep. I have these Rubbermaid containers. I break them down into 3s because we're a family of 3, so I'm going to freeze 2 containers. 1 will probably get eaten because everybody loves something made fresh, and then the other 3 we're going to use for breakfast with yogurt and fresh fruit. There's my husband's lunch. I just think it looks so much nicer with a little bit of the green onions and the sesame seeds, and then the grapes and the trail mix are ready to go. So that will be his lunch for 2 days. Just throw in a drink, good to go. And then this will be my lunch. I will just reheat it in a frying pan and then sprinkle a little bit of green onion and sesame seeds. If I want to put a little bit more sriracha, I can. And then there's the grapes and the trail mix ready to go. So it's a good use of my time. And this is something I want to try and do more of in 2024 and share it with all of you. So subscribe, comment, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. And most importantly, we got to do a little bit of a taste test. I cut them in half. They're a little bit more brown in the bottom, so I don't think I needed to keep them in that 5 minutes, but these were really delicious and I will be making them again. I think some chocolate chips would have been a really nice addition too, or even some dried fruit if I would have had it in my pantry.